Do you ever rock up to a spot and you have no plans, you have no idea what you're shooting, and you have to produce some good materials because it's a client shoot? I'm on a client shoot today shooting some commercial product photography and lifestyle photography for a good friend of mine who has a coffee company. And what better place to do it than at Banff National Park? I'm at Vermilion Lakes, just outside of the town of Banff, and we're gonna shoot some product photography today outside. So I'm gonna show you some tips and tricks to getting some really good original product photography by just winging it. You don't always have to have a plan. Sometimes it's nice to have a plan, but today we have no plan, and I'm gonna show you what I come up with. Obviously I'm alone today, so this tripod is gonna be coming in handy. All right, so basically what I'm doing here when I'm alone and I'm shooting photos from a tripod and I have no one here to help me, I'll put interval shooting on. That way I'm basically just recording as I go, so I don't have to come back and forth and take photo again and again and again. It saves me like tons of unlimited time. What I want to do now is take a couple from the side of the Jeep. That was something I was actually doing this morning. I poured myself a cup of coffee and then I just leaned on the Jeep and was kind of just staring at Mount Rundle, which you can't see now because it's a little socked in. I was just enjoying my third or fourth cup of coffee while I was doing it. So let's try a composition of that real quick. So for those of you who are wondering how I'm focusing when I'm alone, what I'll do is I'll pick a point and use manual focus. So I'll use manual focus. When I'm back behind the Jeep, I'm focusing on the mirror here and I'm making sure the mirror is sharp, and then I'm using like a soft, I'm shooting at 2.8, so there's a really nice soft fallback and a little bit of just like a foreground on the side of the Jeep here. So I know my focus is gonna be sharp and I know it's gonna be exactly where I want it. So I'll show you on the photo. Everything else is pretty soft except for the actual cup. My idea is to basically focus on this and then have the cup in line with the mirror, so I know that that's going to be sharp, so I don't have to take a bunch of different shots and try to get a correct focus. I know right away as long as my cup is lined up where I focus on the mirror, I'm good to go. And again, I'm just saving time. I'm being really efficient. So even though the product's not the focus of that single shot, the idea is that it lives in a set of shots, right? So I'm delivering the client, 25 photos because it's a deck of photos. I can have a couple of just creative shots of just lifestyle and just like how you would be using the product without actually having like the product in it. So just food for thought. I thought I'd mention that before we head over to our next spot, which is going to be basically 25 meters up the road. There's a really cool hot spring. So even though that the Vermilion Lakes here is frozen, there's always a bit of the lake that will reveal itself. So there's no ice, and it's just because the water is always warm because there's a fresh hot spring that actually comes right up from this mountain here behind me, and it comes down all the way down the mountain, down the hill here, and then it comes out underneath the road and then into the lake over here. So I'm going to show you that. Great, so here's our spot. It's snowing a lot now. It's okay, I can kind of see, it's hard to tell on the camera as I'm recording video that you can still see Mount Rundle, which is important. It's a little bit more blown out and it looks more snowy on video, but on photo, I'm able to do some stuff in post-processing and editing that I'm able to still kind of get what I want from the background. So as I mentioned, this is not really a planned shoot. So I have a little bit of an idea in my head of what I want to capture, but I have the luxury of having been here so many times. So I've been to this exact spot literally hundreds of times. I'm able to pull from experience and know what to expect, and also have an idea in my head and visualize ahead of time. So I would definitely recommend not just like totally winging it. If you have a shoot, especially a client shoot or a commercial shoot, I would not recommend just totally winging it. I'm winging it today because, I have the experience of being here. So it's just, I think it's important to add that little disclaimer. All right, so now you have a pretty good idea of what I'm working with here. So you can see behind me that I basically just have this hot pool here with a little bit of open water. I have ice, but it's covered by snow. So it's not super interesting. So I'm gonna focus on a lot of details. So something that right away stands out to me is where the edge of the ice meets the water, and also what's on the ice, which is some cool, you know, snow shapes, and that's something that I can definitely work with. So I have a couple ideas for that. I'm gonna just do a couple of like safety shots, some lay flats where I'm gonna put the product, the coffee beans, the bag, down on the ice. This is kind of cool, the way that the log just comes out from the land into the water here. So what I think I might do is try to put the coffee bag on one of these logs and see how that looks. Okay, cool. That worked there. Again, just being as open-minded as possible. So I'm just trying to, you know, don't be afraid to try weird or new things or something that might not work out. You know, the benefit of trying a photo and being creative is that it doesn't cost you anything. So if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It's not a big deal. You can delete the photo. It's literally cost you no money to, you know, take up the space on your SD card for 2 seconds. Just try it. You're not gonna break your neck, right? So try things and, you know, just if it works out, bonus. If not. So one idea that I had is there's some ice here. So I'm on my log again here. So there's some ice. I was thinking that I could break it up and see if I could get the bag of coffee beans to float on the ice. Cool. Oh, the trick is gonna be to balance it now. Let's touch the other ice. There you go. Oh no! Remember how I just said there's no consequences for trying something crazy? Well, turns out there is. I lost my bag, it just floated a little bit, and the tricky part is it's very thin ice here because obviously it's a hot spring that we're basically standing beside. So I gotta find a way to get that bag because I can't leave it behind. That would be a big no-no. All right, that should hopefully be long enough, yeah? I guess we'll find out. Oh, heard that break. Come on. It's like going fishing. There we go. Come on, bring it home. Got it! Sweet. There we go. Okay, let's try that again. Okay, one more time, shall we? Let's not lose our bag this time though. So I had a neat idea to just kind of place the bag in my camera bag. It's almost the perfect size to replace my camera, and then in the center, instead of having my camera there, I have my lenses on the side, the drone on the side, and then I've got the bag of coffee in the middle. So just something different, something fun. Let's try it out. And just variety is the most important thing, because if at the end of the day, I go home with 100 photos and I only really love 20 of them, that's all I need. 20 is, if I can create 20 photos that I really like from, you know, a deck like this, like a full morning out shooting, and I can get my client some really good assets that are all unique and different for them to choose from, perfect. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna keep trying things. I had an idea to set up my tripod, and again, because I'm alone, I'm trying to be as creative as possible with the tools that I have, and there's only me here, so I have to be creative with how I'm gonna get something shot. So I'm gonna set up the tripod, and then I'm gonna have my, I'm gonna shoot at 1/800th of a second, so really fast frame rate, and then I'm gonna shoot on fastest possible shutter speed that I can, or not shutter speed, but frame rate. I'm gonna drop the bag in sight, so I'm gonna frame it up, I'm gonna have my composition, I'm gonna put the bag in front, and then I'm gonna let go. And then the idea is that it'll look kind of like a product photo where you might have a fake background, and you'd have the product well lit in the front. But I'm gonna try to create that in the real world outside here with the real backdrop. I don't need to superimpose anything because we're here. All right, all in all, I would say very successful shoot. So I think we're done here today. I got a variety of shots, so quick summary. If you're gonna wing it, make sure you wing in a spot that you have a lot of experience in. You can visualize ahead of time, and then when you start shooting, take as much creative shots as possible. Just risk it. Risk as many things. Try to be as creative as you can. Don't be scared if something doesn't work out. And if, in my case, if you happen to accidentally litter, clean up after yourself. Take as many risks and be as creative as possible. Get as much variety as you can. If you try 100 different compositions, only 20 of them work out, that's still a great batting average. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me today. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel, give me the thumbs up, and we'll see you on the next video. Cheers.